It's now 7 o'clock. I call this meeting of the Silver Falls School District Board of Directors to order. And the first item of business is to note attendance. And I think Jonathan's coming right now. I think Lori's going to try to join us remotely. Owen and Aaron are on remotely, and the rest of us are here. So we do have a quorum. Let's stand for the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next is the agenda review. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda. I'm assuming we don't have discussion. Okay. Tom?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Owen?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
All in favor? All right, and the next item is the consent agenda. We have some minutes there. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. Tom?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Owen?
Yes.
Jennifer? Yes. All in favor? All right. We can go to number 6 then, which is our school and principal report. 6A is Sequoia Falls Academy, and we have Jennifer Hannon, the administrator at Sequoia, and a bunch of guests. Welcome.
So I am actually just going to let the kids talk tonight. I'll ask them to introduce them. I told them I'd wait for them a little bit and cue them up to introduce themselves. But they are interested in answering any questions that you have for them. And if you guys don't have any questions, then I will prompt them to make some statements that they want to make.
Okay.
So go ahead, Colton, and you start with introduce your name and your grade.
I'm Colton. I am now a senior going into my next year.
I'm Jade Perez, and I am a graduating senior currently.
I'm Johnny Lewis, and I'm a graduated senior.
I'm Logan Rose, and I'm going into senior year.
Nice. So 2 incoming seniors and 2 graduates. Awesome. So I think our job is to ask questions.
Okay.
I want to, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'd love to hear from each of you, and it obviously might be a sort of a typical question, but I'm really curious what your favorite thing about attending Sequoia has been. What do you think has had the greatest impact for you?
I'd have to say the environment, just having the teachers care for you, like the one-on-one, it's like, I'd have to say it's just a different feeling, just having the teachers more connect with you because you have a lot more one-on-one time, and it's just something I didn't really get going to other schools. Like Sequoia has just impacted me a lot more.
I really appreciate Sequoia time, if I'm being honest, because I really like the fun community aspect of it, because I just feel like so many different people get to connect in this new way, and it just every time a new challenge or we talk about something difficult, I always feel like we persevere through that.
For me, my favorite thing about Sequoia that has impacted me the most would be the environment there has just really allowed me to grow as a person and as just a working adult. It's just given me the space to find things that I value that I can take with me and be productive and just know what I want to get out there. It's just the environment is really good, and it just offers a lot of space for young kids, young adults to grow and realize who they want to be.
Thank you.
I think one of my favorite parts about Sequoia has to be the option to forge out your own, what's the word?
Learning plan. Learning plan?
Well, not exactly learning plan, more like
Path?
academic path. Yeah, that's the one. Your own academic path. Because when you're in I used to come to the high school. It felt like a lot of it was trying to get you prepped for college and not really taking in mind if you even want to go to college. While Sequoia will offer you guitar classes, there's never worrying about classes being full, and you can really just make your future your own.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it.
Anybody want to share something that surprised you about yourself having gone to Sequoia, where you had an opportunity to maybe learn something new again about yourself?
I'd have to say, like, learning and building confidence. Just like when I first got there, I was like really antisocial. I didn't really know how to talk to people, like speak with my chest. And then it's like, once you start learning more stuff, it's like you build confidence over time. And it's like, no, fearless. I got that confidence from just going here, and it's great.
Fantastic.
I'd have to say like the same thing, if I'm being honest, because I was really quiet and I just really didn't like talking in class, and I don't think I would be able to just be here now, like, if I didn't go there. I mean, you know, I just feel like it gave me the opportunity to like say what I need to say and get my words out there.
For me, I had no idea that I could have leadership skills. Like, I was really similar. I was also really like antisocial. I didn't want to talk much in class. I just felt like the environment didn't like allow for me to do that. But when I went to Sequoia, like, I discovered like I love talking with people. I love being in like close groups where we all can put our ideas out there, and like guiding them along and putting my own ideas and just organizing something big between people. It was really fulfilling, and I really like discovered a sense of like self doing that.
I discovered that asking questions that may not be entirely relevant to what you are learning about can make you understand the coursework quite a bit better. Like, just it takes anyone to just ask something like, doesn't matter how minor about the subject coursework, and then it'll just get the entire class talking about the possibilities and what they think. Like, let's say you're talking about history class, what they think this event will cause other things to do and stuff like that. I think that's really important.
Thanks, guys.
I guess I got kind of a leading question, but it's a smaller population of students. So does that help? Because you're kind of with the same group of people all day long. You're not like a salmon swimming upstream. A big group. Does that have any effect on it, kind of on your experiences there, being kind of with the same group of people all day long?
I feel like having the smaller classes, you can get more in depth into things to where you can ask like more questions and to learn more in depth about a certain subject. And like, we still switch up like classmates. Like, not every class is the same, and I just feel like having that closer classroom can really help you succeed faster and more efficient.
I think personally for me, like, it's helped me like tremendously, like when it comes to just like being myself again, and being like happy. Sorry, my brain like went dead. But yeah, it's just like really good.
It's okay. I think. I'm sorry. What was the question again?
Oh, just the smaller population.
Right. Okay. Yeah. the smaller population, for me, I think it just really allows for more conversations within the classroom about the topic. Like, it gets things rolling when it's a smaller group of people, not like a big classroom where people may be unfamiliar with each other, not ready to jump in on such like a bigger scale. But, you know, you start off small like that, and I think it allows room for bigger ideas. And, you know, that just makes room for more people in the end to just get their thoughts and opinions out there. And I think it's a really great little system they got going on there.
Can I add something? I think it like really helps like it helps you like prepare for the beginning of like the world, and but in like a smaller scale, so it's a lot easier to manage, and especially with somebody who has like a lot of anxiety and who's very stressed, it can be very, very helpful.
I will say the size of the classrooms isn't really what affected my my growth there. I do think it is very helpful. I think it can even help people who prefer lots of people in a classroom. I think getting put in a different just a different area with different people, I think that really helps Sequoia thrive.
The folks who are online, do you guys have questions? Owen, you're muted.
I'll get better at this. I'm curious if any of you have any suggestions for the staff or for the facility that you think could be improved or changed to make your experiences even better.
You want to go? I need a second to think about it.
I personally feel like I feel like sorry. I like had this like ready to go. Wait.
Phone. You can check your phone.
Yeah,
I don't have my phone.
And you can pass it. Yes. And we'll come back to you.
Before this, we did have like a big group meeting, you know, and we talked about all our experiences at high school and how it's different now that we're at Sequoia, like what led up to this. But I think we talked a lot about the staff and how the staff is different there. But the staff are all like really trained in how to deal with just like a lot of different situations, a lot of different feelings and emotions that could come up in like a school setting, especially with people who are more prone to like getting anxious or having bad days or just having days where just getting out of bed and going to school is hard. Like they really understand that there. And I guess my suggestion or just from what I've seen from the staff at Sequoia is they really just have an open mind. Like they are curious, they're understanding, and they're aware. They recognize like the fault in things that happen. Like they recognize mistakes and they let students have a voice. Like they understand like we are equal, and it's not just, well, I'm the teacher or staff member, you're the student, like you have to listen to me. Like we're open to having conversations and building stronger relationships, and I think that just helps the school overall. Yeah.
Okay, so what drove me away from the high school and towards Sequoia wasn't the staff members. I do think everyone has their faults, including me, of course. But what really drove me away from this place for a while was the lunch detention system, because there are so many families that just can't call in and tell them their kid's sick, just not available. And there's also parents who aren't willing to, even if their child is in danger of some sort, either mentally, physically, anything. And so I think, sorry, let me get back to the subject I wanted to really emphasize on. The length of them. I remember when I was a sophomore, if you missed 2 days in a row, it was a month of lunch detention, which I find wildly insane. I don't think that's anywhere near necessary. And that drove me from returning to school because I couldn't spend lunch with my friends. There was one point where so we had these slips, and someone would use them to cut to the front of the line, just this one guy, maybe a couple. And what they did was ban hot lunch from all the lunch detention students and gave them cold turkey and frozen bread. Not exactly frozen, but it was thawed. It was not warm bread. It didn't taste good. No one ate it, so it wasn't like they were feeding the students because they wouldn't eat the food. Sorry, I don't know why my voice is so like crackly today. I need water or something.
You guys want to, did you think of something?
Oh wait, what was the question again? Yeah, sorry.
I think Owen asked about improvements. What would you suggest to make Sequoia even better?
Honestly, I feel like it's really about like staff, like being there, you know, and present, like maybe like being in the hallways. Because for me personally, I feel like a lot of things like happen in the hallways that a lot of people just don't see, and a lot of like really traumatic things like happen, that a lot of bad things can happen in 5 minutes, like believe it or not. But it is very much like really stressful. And I just like, yeah, sorry.
I'd like to say environment. When you walk into Sequoia, it's like very calm. The lights are dim if there's lights on, and it's like some lights are very bright and it's like makes your eyes strain, you know, stuff like that. And it's just like the little things that make you feel really comfortable, and it's like I like being here. When it's the chairs, they're comfy. It's like everything that you do, it's like just being aware of comfort can really make someone a lot more comfortable going to school.
I'd like to know that it's not just because of the furniture. It is also just the very kind and welcoming environment. Like at Sequoia, they always make it a point to like greet us and say hi to us or ask us how our day is going. And for some of us, like, we don't get asked that a lot. And it's really nice to like know someone like is actually like interested in what you have to say for once, you know? And it just makes it like so much easier to go to, and it's such a loving environment.
So both the furniture
Yes.
and the environment.
Yes.
The human environment.
Hand in
May
hand.
I
Yeah.
also add something else to that? It's more than the furniture and the environment. It's the teachers get inventive with the way they teach. You almost hardly ever, like it'll be like they'll print out something written, but they'll hardly ever print out like something that's just like a basic project. They'll get experimental with it. They'll give students up to their own ideas. They will let you do what you are assigned to do of your own will.
Can I also add something onto that? The inventive projects, that reminds me of our Sequoia Time, which is like our advisory group kind of, if it's something you haven't heard about by now. It's the same kids, same teacher. And in our Sequoia Time groups, we do like community projects, these fun little like building team exercises, which sometimes everybody hates them. Sometimes it's just stacking a bunch of paper cups together, only using like straws. But I think nonetheless, like they help build that sense of a good environment. So I think finding more ways to get like creative with AG Time and really bring people together, like just building a sense of good community like that really helps.
Teamwork.
Exactly, teamwork. Even if it is on something that is not very fun, I think it just really gets a good sense of like morale and like we're in this together kind of sense.
Aaron, do you have a question?
I'm good. The ones that I was thinking of were already asked. So thank you for all of you for being here. It's really, really great information to have. Thank you.
I have a question about the timing of Sequoia Time. How often does that happen?
What exactly do you mean?
Like the Sequoia, you're talking about Sequoia
Oh,
Time.
oh.
Like how often is that? Once a week, every day?
It's 4 times a week. Because Wednesdays we have sort of like an RE day, where we're able to like come in and just like do our like work and get the stuff done that we need to, or talk to teachers or make up things and stuff like that. But the Sequoia time, yeah. And it's like an hour, I think.
And there's also the, we have, I don't know, does it have an official name or is it just big group?
Oh, yes.
Okay, community
Community
time.
time.
It's basically, it's kind of just a mini assembly between all of the Sequoia time groups. We all come together, and that happens on Thursdays usually, but it can happen like any day that it needs to. Usually it's just like the staff and the students, they come together and they're like, so maybe this is something that's been happening, or this is something we want to talk about, or this is like an issue, how can we work together to like resolve it? Or they even might ask the students, like, has something been going on? Like, is there anything that we could be doing better? And it's just a good space to get like everybody's thoughts out there. And it's like an assembly on a much smaller scale that like allows for student voices to get heard and for just open conversation. It's really good to have. And I think that's like once a week. I don't know if there's ever a week without it really, but yeah, it's pretty good.
The community time, I might add, also, it's just such a great way for us to like talk about the rules and kind of like get like a full like understanding of it, because once you have like a better understanding of why we need this rule and like why we need it, it's a lot easier to follow, because you also just realize like there are people just like us trying to work and get through the day, you know, and sometimes people need a break, and it's really good to talk about something that's like off your chest, and I just think it's like a great like time to do that.
I would also like to say there are a wide variety of things we do during our group times. Sometimes people will come in and teach us about their career, how to get into it, stuff like that. Other times we will talk about the best ways we can help each other grow and how we deal with trauma. We are very trauma informed. And I would just like to point that out.
It also teaches us to be like tolerant of others, because I feel like we have a lot of people who are very different. Like we have people who are on the spectrum, we have people who have like a lot of anxiety, and we have a lot of people who have the various of issues. And I feel like it just gives us like the best time to get to know each other, and because it helps you build that like human empathy that like everybody has, because everybody like feels something and everybody's going through it, no matter who you are.
I'd like to say it's a good time to like realize we're mostly all of us here for like the same reason, to get the same stuff done. It's like there's no time, like there's never a time where we're hating on each other. Like it's just
Support.
yeah, support, literally.
Well, I just wanted to say that I love hearing about the conversations that you have in class about academics. And I think those are super duper important. I'm a teacher, so I just think that that's awesome. And to me, it sounds like you're able to have those conversations because of the relationships that you build with each other and with teachers. It feels safe to be able to express yourself in that environment, and that sounds fabulous to me. I love it. It's amazing. Good job, staff and students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
it really is thanks to the environment that the staff like made there for us to be able to like build that community and relationship strength. It's a beautiful thing. Like I've said this before, but I think empathy, like you were saying, it just kind of thrives in the environment that Sequoia's made, and it just builds a great community.
I just want to congratulate you on the two of you who are graduating and the other two who are moving up. And you all are obviously so well-spoken and intelligent and thoughtful. I really appreciate you coming and sharing some of your experiences with us. I can't wait to see what's next for you. It's just really nice to meet everybody. Well, thank you.
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I want to know what your next steps, like, what are you going to do? Like, I'll see you guys at graduation next year, but like, I want to know what happens next, because you guys are super well-spoken and have a lot of stuff going on, I can tell. And so I think you're probably going to go out in the world and do some good things for some people.
I really want to be a teacher. I almost became a hairstylist, but decided last minute, like, I felt like I was given so many, like, opportunities, and I'm just so grateful that I feel like it would be, like, almost disrespectful not to give back in that sense. And I feel like just seeing, like, their relationship and how much they love each other, it makes you want that for yourself, and it makes you have hope that it's all going to be okay.
After this, I will be going to Chemeketa Community College, and I will be pursuing education. I'd like to become like a counselor for kids, preferably like middle school or younger than that, and practice like forms of art therapy and like communication skills. Because I feel like a lot of people, or kids specifically, but everybody really needs just like a person who's going to be there and listen to them and provide them with comforting ways they can like problem solve themselves and comfort themselves. I think like it's just really like necessary. I think people, I think that just needs more people need to do that. So I'm really excited to do that.
Awesome. Any others?
I'm going to my last year of WCA. I'm a diesel technician, and I'm very excited to start getting in the work industry and start getting into the shops. Like,
Where do I start? So, my plans for next year, as far as going to be a senior and then moving on with my adult life, I'm gonna continue working outside of school. I'm gonna have to make up my foreign language classes, which means I'll have 2 of those, and then I believe I will also need to have 2 fitness classes as well. And that's just kind of exciting to me. I'm finally getting to learn about all this stuff I've been wanting to do since I was a freshman. And then as far as afterwards, I really have no plan yet. I haven't really ever. I do want to focus my career around helping people. I did a test, I believe it was last year. I don't remember I think it was the ASVAB. And I got my highest score in word comprehension. And so ever since then, I've been thinking about stuff like at least a part-time like translator, help people who may not be able to speak English get jobs in America. I also would like to travel a lot, charity work, build wells, stuff like that. And yeah, my plan is really not a plan, but it's more of a way I want to pursue life.
So good to hear. Thank you, guys. Any other questions from?
No, just super impressed. Thanks for sharing,
Yeah,
guys.
thank
Is
you.
there anything else you
Thank
want
you.
to say to us?
Thank you for inviting us all down here. I'd also like to thank Jen for giving us all this opportunity and all the other staff at Sequoia. Because without them, Sequoia wouldn't be where it is today, or even, I don't even know if it would exist today. And so I'm just very glad that we all got this opportunity to progress through our lives and talk to you guys today.
I kind of just want to say, like, how important I think Sequoia is and how much it's, like, changed, like, the way I perceive things. I feel like it's really, like, just opened my eyes to see that, like, I don't have to just be this working person, like, working the rest of my life, you know? Like, I can have, like, a good life, you know? I can do whatever I want to do. I have, like, multiple options, and I just feel like they do so much good. Like, they've helped me, like, do so many things. Like I have my license. I got a scholarship. I also like just graduated, and I was this close to going to beauty school, but they were also going to help me do that. But everything they do is just so like amazing, and I keep saying that, but like I don't know how to say it louder. I just love them a lot, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunities and the pleasant like gifts and love that I was able to receive. Because personally, I don't really get that home sometimes. Like my mom's handicapped, so is my dad, and I take care of them a lot. And I also like I work a lot, stuff like that. And they just always stay flexible and try to help me get through it. And they showed me that I can do other things. Sorry for rambling. Thank you.
Do you want to go? I just want to say thanks to Jen and all the staff. I would not be on the path that I'm like going. It was like Jen gave me a path, and it was like I'll just follow, and it worked out like perfectly. So I just want to say thanks to them, and thanks for having us.
Wait, can I say something else? Sorry. I just want to say, as a trans person, like, look out for them. The future ones, really look out for them, please. Because a lot of them are really going through it, and they're just, like, stuff's hard, you know? Kids are really cruel. Crueler than you might think. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that you guys don't see and you guys don't know about. And just keep that in mind as you move forward with further decisions. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
All right. I think we might be at an end, yeah?
Thank you.
All right, well, that is going to be hard to top, Mr. Thompson.
Oh, you took it from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
So Mr. Thompson is going to come talk to us about Silverton High School, the big group. Oh, and Mr. Mulligan, too. Oh, and Mr. Jones.
Okay, gosh, man, now you have us. Sorry, you're stuck with us. We don't want to.
It's the B squad.
Yeah, yeah. Let us know.
You're
Whenever-
good.
We're good? Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Madam Chair and Superintendent. This is our update. We saw you guys in the beginning of the school year, and we have so much to share. We're trying to squeeze it into just a few slides and then and open it up for any conversations after that. I hope this works. Hey, Daniel, does this work? Oh, there's a little delay. All right, first we wanted to share with you that we tightened up our belts last time that we were faced with budget decisions, and we're proud that we have some growth that we have to look forward to. So thank you for approving that, and we'll share with you why this is so important in moving forward. So you can see the increases there, some obviously to where the school once was at. We dropped even at one time below 1,200, right? And then hopefully we're looking at about projecting at 1,255. So as we grow, the commitment and the investment in increasing our FTE is extremely important. So you can see there with these investments, we'll be able to continue some of the vision that we have. We shared that this year are inclusive of our curriculum guides and our curriculum map and our projection maps and the great work that we've been doing with Guarantee and Viable, that engagement strategies was one of the things that we're going to put a lens on through our development as a high school. So we're going to continue that, and in addition, next year, look at our teacher efficacy, collective efficacy, as what John Hattie says is one of the major factors of achievement and growth. Basically, that's teachers working together. So we're going to look at interdisciplinary collaboration, which has already been going on, a tremendous amount of it. So we're going to start to measure that. So we're going to look at our data teams with the effective strategies of engagement and our interdisciplinary collaboration. So that's going to be a major focus for us coming into next year. And why that's so important, as you know, this year we had a major bell schedule change, moving from the 7-period day to a block, a 4x4. And I can, really share that I was expecting a lot of discomfort. And with great ease, our teachers really navigated some of those landmines this year, and very proud of some of the feedback that we received. We had some feedback that went out in October, and a second one that at the end of the calendar year. Most of the faculty had moved forward and got comfortable with an 80-minute period. Even those that for their content area, they felt that it's not as maybe conducive, they still did one heck of a job. It was really great, the engagement that we worked on as a team. So really looking forward to that. So some of the changes that you'll see for next school year, with the investment that we showed in that first slide of increasing FTE, we'll be able to get to a 6 out of 8. This school year, our teachers taught 7 out of 8. So I think that that's going to allow for the time that we can really focus on that data of engagement and interdisciplinary conversations, that effectiveness. And we'll move into data-driven PLCs that's already set out from our district. So we're really looking forward to seeing what is the data sharing with us. This is where the rubber meets the road. What is the data telling us of our strategies and how effective they are? And then how well our teachers are working together, both within content area and across content areas. Another structural shift that you'll see is we have been blessed to have up to 5 instructional leads. That is in addition to the department chairs. So for some educators, or if you've been in other high schools, this looks like a principal's council. This is to gain some of our licensed instructors in some of the administrative decisions as we move forward. So these aren't specific to content areas, but they will help the administration look at what are some long-term goals. What do we want to see and what do we not know? This is also an opportunity to maybe send some folks out in our programs, in serving our most vulnerable populations, in our SPED program, in our EL program, and other tiered systems of support, and see how are we collaborating that as a school-wide effort and not just individual programs. So those are some of the initiatives that we have to look forward to. And again, we're blessed to have up to 5 instructional leads. Depending on how many apply for it, we'll go out and recruit. We may have 3, we may have all 5. And this is just a structure that it may look like. It doesn't necessarily have to be in these content areas. This is just what makes sense as we go through our thought process.
Awesome. So one other big shift that we had, and you saw in there's an outlay of a 1.0 FTE for a freshman seminar that actually is part of the HSS SIA plan that you all were presented with, is actually the creation of what we're calling freshman seminar. So one of the things that we've learned, is the great, if you call it the individuality of Silver Falls, is all of our 8th graders come in with very different experiences depending on the schools they came from and have a great wealth of experience and backgrounds. But how do we put that all together when we'll have 150 or half of our kids come from an Inton middle school, the others are coming from a lot of different other experiences. And so our data and our feedback and what we've looked at says we need to have some sort of culminating common freshman experience that we can really drill down and look at what are those skills And we're really talking, as you can see, some of these, it's really those pro-social skills, those skills on self-management, those skills on goal setting. How do we structure ourselves to be a great student, a great Fox? And so how can we drill down and do that in a freshman academy, in a freshman seminar, if you will? We have a great staff that are building our Fox Camp 9 back up as we continue to see more kids come in the summer. But this would be a class that the students would be in for the whole year with the same teacher, with the same group. Different from what we see in homeroom, in which homeroom has sort of those Division 22, those bigger pieces, long-range planning, EA, the extended application projects, all of that. This is more about what does the data show us that our freshmen need to be a successful student at Silverton High School, and how can we really tackle that? So we have a number of teachers that will be taking on those individual class periods across a variety of content areas, so they can also collaborate together to see what do we need to do to support our students. So our students are freshmen, every freshman will be in that class, every freshman will have that same sort of experience working on that, as well as then some dedicated time to also help with assignment completion, grade checks, planning, all those other pieces to help our freshmen, again, that on-track freshman readiness. We really want to key and pinpoint onto that. So the freshman academy will be something that, or freshman seminar will be something that will allow us to do that. And so we have a committee and a group of folks that are going through to develop that whole curriculum for that year. And again, this is not a can from someone else. There's a lot of people that do things similar to it. We want to take those best ideas and make it the Fox way, make it what works for Silverton and what our freshmen need to be successful at the high school. Two other additions that we're really excited about is we always know we have amazing CTE programs in existence and some awesome staff and students that do amazing. But we have two that were actually either one an addition and another as an expansion. So we are, again, through our HSS and what we approved, adding the information technology to our computer science pathway. So this allows us to actually have a teacher that can look at the IT hardware basics, IT network basics, that we can work on connecting those with Chemeketa Community College. The esports management, which is, we now know it's a huge thing. This is the right news to me as I'm learning all these things, but OSA, there's now you can get a state title in 3 different games. Computer video games now, right? That's there. But we also know that they're on the back end of this, again, setting kids up for success. There's a bunch of business, there's a bunch of marketing, planning, events, coordinating the technology that comes with that is multi-billion-dollar industry. So how can we help some of our kids to realize that piece behind it? So it's not I want to go be a professional video gamer. Okay, well, let's actually find something that is the pathway that really can set you up to maybe be the person planning, organizing, and putting on these big things. Also to be able to have robotics as well. And this person and position will also work on working to bring back that student technology help desk that wasn't existent prior to COVID, that we're able to bring back and have our students have that hands-on training and experience. So that's in addition to already our computer science program, which is outstanding. The new pathway that we're really excited about, as you know, of the preschool coming to on campus at the house, is actually having with that our students will be able to be a part of that program through an early childhood education pathway. So these will be students that can take some childhood development courses that will also be work on getting articulated with Chemeketa, and then also go and be preschool teaching assistants. In fact, it was already so popular in our forecasting, I think there was more kids that forecasted for preschool teaching assistant than a teaching assistant in the high school. So they all want to be over there more than they want to be with their current teachers. But also a really great opportunity, and also another pathway for how we can, just like we heard our amazing students now, that kind of growing your own too. Knowing that we're looking for more educators, how can we have some kids get some experience and maybe look at that as a potential pathway. So those are 2 additions to our CTE programs that we're excited about. A couple numbers too that I know Sione wanted to kind of share out. These are kind of these big 30,000 foot view numbers, but kind of showing where we're at as of today. So our school-wide GPA is about 3.22 school-wide. That's about on track for where it was. There was a pretty large bump up in 2019-20, as you can imagine, with the number of kids getting passes or things change with online learning. But roughly where we've sat at is between anywhere held harmless. Between 3.25 and 3.22 is about what average when I looked over the past about 6 years. Our graduation rate, where we stand now, is roughly 95%. This is a very rough estimate, though, because as we know, there's a number of factors when the state calculates it. For example, students that we may be lost to go to homeschool or to other places, if they don't go and submit a diploma or a graduation request through their homeschool partner to ODE, they now get counted as a non-completer with us. So we also know that we're going to see what happens there, since there's a number of students that did go and submit to the WESD, that they're going to homeschool, and we may not see what happens with that. So those numbers will change, but that's where we're at now. What's really exciting is 75% of our students at Silverton High School participated in some level in our CTE courses, and we know that helps increase their student attendance as well as their academic achievement. 28% of our students participated in one AP or college level course this year. We're still calculating now like how many total college credits were able to be captured through students completing the coursework that was there. And our freshman on track number that we report to ODE was sitting at 97% at the end of this year for our freshmen that were on the pathway and trajectory based on the data points for graduation. And then just to also get kind of a framework of what do our seniors, so I know like the question that Jennifer asked of what is sort of the plan post high school. This is self-reported data that our seniors put out sort of the middle of this year as they were preparing and putting together their extended application projects. But for where our current graduates are looking at going, so you'll kind of be able to see the breakup there based on the responses of what they shared. So again, sitting with a high graduation rate and also sitting with, you know, really our focus always is that 18.9%. Do you have a plan you didn't tell us, or do we need to work together to make sure you have some sort of post-secondary plan? And so that's where a lot of our attention goes to, while also supporting all the students in the different pathways that they have laid out or articulated for themselves.
So this should look familiar. This is something that we shared in the beginning of the school year as our, our 5 targets. And, Patrick, Mr. Mulligan, he can kind of share with each one of these targets and where we're headed. None of this is possible without first and foremost going through our foundational understanding of our curriculum, which our teachers have been doing diligently. So again, with projection maps, with our curriculum map, with understanding student engagement, and then our interdisciplinary conversations that we're going to have. None of this right here happens without that foundation. So these are the pie in the sky and how we measure what some of these things, when they come fruition, it's because of that foundation. So we obviously with our target, I think that we're doing so much better every step of the way. Every time we have another event, I'm not being from here, I think of this place as the community hub. It's such a beautiful property. It's such a beautiful campus. When you have a theater or something that's happening in the theater, it should be celebrated by everyone in all of our departments. So that's the step that we're moving towards, and maybe some examples of that you can share that we did this year and what we have planned coming forward.
Yeah, so part of it is we want to, again, I think back to the interdisciplinary part, like Sony was talking about. We also want to look through that with our arts and vocational programs of how can we do that cross collaboration. So for example, some of our students in our video production, in fact, actually got a contract to start doing some videography and filming for the state of Oregon to put together some contracts and some pieces and video for them. But we want to talk through how can we do that within our own? How can we have our graphic arts kids that go through and design and create t-shirts? For example, we have some kids that are competing in Skills USA because they were, t-shirt designers, high-level state champs, and then create that for athletic events or for other things, and then have our marketing students be able to be the ones that are merchandising, planning, ordering, and doing all that. So it's really trying to bring all those pieces together, again, of just like in our classrooms, English and social studies don't need to live independent from each other. How do we ensure that culinary and business, or how do we ensure that, for example, this year we had an amazing class that actually had a lot of students that are art welding fabrication, but it was artistic in nature. It wasn't just welding trailers to create trailers. The kids creating works of art and tables and other pieces using the same skills that they would have from their welding program and ag science program. So finding those connections as we develop those is what we're definitely looking at as part of that.
And as you heard from one of the students on the panel just before us, our behavior management system, this is something that, there's a few things that were archaic, that probably worked well at one point in time, and we're obviously looking to change that. Lunch detentions, don't ever want to hear that again, right? Things of that sort that we're moving towards a restorative practice in nature, but still with love and accountability. And I think that's something that we're making sure that we're constantly on that line of love and care, support with restorative practices, but strong accountability. And we see that in the various tiers that we have in our tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 interventions that we're looking for support. There was a lot of institutional knowledge that occurred through behavioral systems with people. And that's great, but as you know, when people come and go, then those systems need to be solidified. So that's what we're looking at, solidifying some of those systems in place. So we're not only people dependent, but we do want to depend on our great people as well. Student support and advocacy, we also had increased our FTE from our student success and high school success and SIS with what we call the Fox Den. Our Fox Den supports both Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions. And our biggest behavioral infraction that we keep going back to the data is actually attendance. It's the number one thing that shows on our records. So we've been reaching out in so many different ways, and we've had a lot of stories. We had 17 graduates this year that would not have otherwise, may not have otherwise graduated if not for those great folks reaching out to those families, bringing them in, and finding another pathway for them to get across that stage. So I think those student support and advocacy programs really paid dividend. If there was one, I think it already paid itself, but there were 17. So very proud of something like that. Freshman seminar and our transitions, Patrick talked about that, and student engagement, we've talked about that as one of the leading indicators that we're going to be looking at that data. So this is going to be continuation, and we want to continue to share and update you guys on how we're doing with these targets. All right, you're up.
Well, thank you for allowing us to come tonight. I'm just going to kind of recap our athletic year. My first year here, I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be here. Growing up in this community and watching it and now being a part of it has been, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty cool. This is a picture of our state championship dance team. First place in jazz and second in traditional this year. They are extremely hard workers. They don't get the notoriety that a lot of our other programs do. They practice off-site most of the time, but they are what they did this year is just nothing short of phenomenal. So a little bit of props for them and what they did. They've got some very fantastic coaches. So we've got 19 athletic programs here at the high school. In those 19 athletic programs, we had 548 individual athletes, but we had 817 participating. So we roughly had about 270 multi-sport athletes, which out of a student body of about 1,250, we're right at 70 to 75% of our students participating just in athletics. That doesn't take into account, drama, band, choir, FBLA, any of our CTE, FFA programs. We had two of our programs this year had over 100 participants. Track was at 144 and football was at 103. For a school of 1,250, those are sensational numbers. Coming from a 2,000 student high school, both of those numbers are higher than what we had for both track and for football. So some very good traditions here, some very good coaches running those programs and getting the kids to come out and have an enjoyable experience. As we said earlier, our Fox's dance team were state champions. We had 3 league champions. Our football team won the league this year. Our girls swimming were champions, and so was our girls basketball team. Our school, Silverton High School, finished 4th in what is the OSAA State Cup, and that takes in consideration where you finish at the state level for OSA activities and also academically. They put together an all academic, and you can see where we had 5 of our programs finish in the top 11 in the state at the 5A level for GPA. So finishing 4th was the highest finish we've had. It tied with 2021, but it's the highest since 2010. We had 3 players of the year. We had 2 football players that were player of the year. We also had a girls basketball that was a player of the year. We had 1 coach of the year. We had a Gatorade player of the year, which there's only 1 in each state. And we had over 50 of our student athletes get recognized with an all-league recognition. We had 12 senior student athletes who signed letters of intent to go play and follow their passion at the collegiate level. And currently, we have 12 camps running this summer by 12 of our programs. This week, our boys and girls basketball team is running a camp. Boys have 105, girls have 101 participants, and baseball is having 60 participants. So if you come around the high school tomorrow between 8:30 or 9 and about 3 o'clock, you'll see 206 5th through 8th graders running around.
Thank goodness for these camps, because my kids are in them. Get them nice and tired.
For 2023 and 2024, we've had a couple of new coaching hires. Jamie McCarty, who spent 5 years as a head basketball coach, is coming back next year. In the 5 seasons that he coached, he was 112 wins and 13 losses, 4 league championships in those 5 years. They were runner-up in 2021, 2022, and he's got over 285 wins overall. Also, Dr. Kirsten Barnes is going to come back and coach our volleyball program. She spent 16 years as the head coach with 10 league championships and 9 of those in a row. So if you go into the gym and you look at the volleyball circle that's up there, every year from 2002 to 2009, Silverton was league champions, and she was the reason for that. A couple of other projects that working on is our athletic code of conduct, just making some updates and additions. Mr. Thompson talked about one of the biggest things that we have is attendance issues, as far as kids just coming in a little bit late, not getting to class on time, so we're going to put some things in there. Sent out a survey to all of our school families to let them have input on that, giving them the opportunity to give us feedback on what they like and what they didn't like. We are adjusting to a new website that is more user and, more importantly, more operator friendly. I found out this spring that having to go to 3 different web pages to make changes when games were canceled ended up being a lot of work. We're going to have a return of the Silverton Gala, which is our Hall of Fame banquet. That's been absent for the last couple of years since COVID, and that's going to be Saturday, October 6th. Doing some updating on our coach's handbook, just bringing things up to date a little bit. Not really a major adjustment other than taking a look at some of our job descriptions for our coaches and kind of making sure that they understand what their responsibilities are. Homecoming week next week is October 8th through the 13th, which is what we call our short week or our in-service week. The game is going to be on Thursday, October 12th. And then this year, I put together what is known as our Athletic Advisory Committee, and I'll talk just a little bit about that. When I came on board in September, there's so many good things that were put into place, and one of the things that I really wanted to focus on was building a partnership with our community and our community youth athletic groups, because those kids who were down participating at the youth level are going to be in the high school within a couple of years. And how could we do and what could we do to make sure that that transition is going to be smooth and work with each other as opposed to work against each other? So I started calling around and talking to some individuals who had some kind of a same mindset, and kind of came up with a little bit of a philosophy that, we wanted a partnership between the school and community for our thriving youth and high school athletic programs that would provide our student athletes with quality experiences with quality facilities. And I think when we talk about quality facilities, that's a major portion of what our bond is right now, is making our facilities very quality. And it's been a long time in coming. A lot of things have had to be put off because of just one factor or the other. And so far, we've had very good success. There's probably about 15 community members. None of them are head coaches and or coaches at the high school level, because sometimes those head coaches and or assistant coaches have personal agendas on what they would like to see accomplished, on how well it will help their program. But we want to do the things that are going to help as many kids as possible. And as I've always said, and anytime I get to brag about Silverton, I take the opportunity because I do not think that there's a better place to live. I don't think there's a better place to raise your family. And now I've found out that there's no better place to work. And so, you know, we feel that it's one of the greatest communities around. And while there are challenges, which every place has its challenges, the opportunities are limitless. You know, we're only going to be stopped on what we can think, because the amount of support and tradition and the alumni in our community is so great that we really do believe that we can make anything imaginable happen. And we're pretty excited about those things. We've got some projects that we've talked about and that we're trying to work on because we understand that school finances are not what they used to be. And when you get money from the state, no matter how much it is, it's really just for the day-to-day running of the buildings and the school itself. And so we're used to fundraising. We're used to going out and figuring out how we can do it and making sure that all of our kids have the greatest possibility experience possible. Even though we're just finishing up 22-23, we're already gearing up and having our fall athletic registration starting on July 10th. We hope that goes smooth, but this will be something that's going to be going out in the next week or so to our community patrons and our incoming freshmen.
We're almost done, we promise. When we want to talk about our school, it's just nonstop. We can be here all day, but we won't. Here's a couple of fun things that we had in the last couple of months here. We're so famous that this guy wanted to come and talk to our students. Right now, today, this picture was taken. Our Skills USA kiddos are in Atlanta, doing us proud. Tonight, they have their first meeting, and then they start their actual skill competition tomorrow. And this was the last day of school. What a great tradition. Thanks, Daniel. 3, 2, 1. Whole lot of build up for 10 seconds of a lot of trash. But, they recycled it. They cleaned it up. They cleaned it up in 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, they had it all cleaned up.
That's such a great tradition.
Oh, Daniel playing it again. And of course, we're all here because we want to get our kiddos across the stage and ready for life. This is not all of them, but by AG, day of graduation. Thank you guys for all that you do, your hard work. Without you, we don't have kids graduating and becoming productive members of our society. So again, like that first slide showed, it's about the investment in people. And thank you guys for investing in our people. Thank you, our district leadership team, superintendent, for having us here and being able to share with you some of our updates. And we're here to answer any questions you guys have.
Questions?
Well, without putting you on the spot, I'm curious, when you talked about the behavioral interventions and all of that, what's the plan for student handbooks?
Yeah, thank you. Well, this is part of our team. We would not be a full team without giving credit where credit is due. Heather Basher, who is a tremendous addition to our administrative team, is doing great. So we've looking at our district code of conduct that is currently being adopted, taking that and then aligning it with our student handbook. Things inclusive of the attendance policies, which are also going to affect activities in athletics as well. So being more stringent, but also at the same time making sure that we have the supports necessary as we hold that line of accountability, because a Silverton diploma means something, right? There are other pathways. You can achieve an Oregon State diploma, but the one that says Silverton on it really means something, and we're going to make sure that we hold the highest rigor and accountability for that. So through the handbook, that's going to be some of the work that we're doing this summer, and updating it and re-advising it with Heather, our new teammate, and with having a full-time ASB teacher. We are so blessed that we had Darby here with us this year, and she did basically two people's jobs with only being here part-time. But that dedication, again, with a full FTE, we need student voice to be part of that handbook. The goal would be that it's actually driven and written by our student leadership. And that's the direction we're moving in.
That's perfect. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. I appreciate it.
Great question. You got the next one.
I liked hearing about, I have enjoyed hearing about the emphasis on engagement. And I think that just going back to the Sequoia presentation, the idea of students don't feel safe enough to engage unless they have those relationships. So how are you guys working with teachers to promote that kind of relationship building?
Share our PD method and then what we're doing.
Yeah, so I think one of the first things is how we even started out our own in-service last year and how we're looking at this year of that idea of community and building that sense of community. So doing that within ourselves as a staff so that we can do that outside. We also this year, one of our school-wide, in fact we did it last year as well, we created school-wide goals, and then our teachers themselves, many of them had the option to and actually use as their professional growth goals and their student learning goals, actually taking specifically a data point out of our Youth Truth on students that report that they feel that they belong. And so we actually used that as a data point last year and continued this year for our staff to say, this is what we'll focus on. This is the data point that we'll measure from the end of year to the end of this year, and really focus on those strategies of how are we ensuring that all students has that sense of belonging in the classes they're at. We saw some growth in some areas and in some subgroups, some not as much growth. So it will be a continuation knowing that we want to work on, but that is something we specifically highlighted. Really the two data points were I feel that I belong, and then also looking at the difference between the questions I have to work hard and the work I do makes me think. So getting back to that engagement piece. So by using those two as our foundational data points and our goals for the building, we're able to say this is a priority for us because we're actually going to be looking at it year in and year out.
Well, and I suppose that interdisciplinary focus that I heard you mention tonight will also help the staff feel like more like team oriented, which, like you mentioned, helps when trying to build a community within each classroom. It's just not necessarily about your department or your course. This is Silverton High School.
Now, see, high schools were notorious for being, I'm a content expert in my field, and I'm going to close my door. And what I can say is, and I'm always, and every day I'm just overwhelmed, how much our staff doesn't fall into that hole as much as I've seen in other districts that I've been at. But we still want to continue that of how can I ensure, hey, what am I working on in my English class that can tie into social studies, or how can what I'm doing in my data and stats maybe pull something from my biology course or from something from my CTE course, because we know if all of those connect, you have a greater sense of belonging, you have a greater level of engagement, and it kind of covers all those. So absolutely we want to continue to focus on those pieces.
Other questions, guys, on the, Lori, Owen, and Aaron, do you guys have any questions?
No questions. I thought it was an excellent presentation tonight, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, no specific questions. Excellent as usual, guys. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for the time tonight.
Thank you for the presentation, but I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much
Appreciate
for your
it.
time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Guys.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now we are going to officially open the budget hearing for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. And that means that anybody in the audience or anybody online can give public comment. If you would like to speak during public comment and are attending virtually, use the raise hand feature in Zoom. If you are attending in person, please approach the public comment table located in front of the board. Are there people online to read the statement to?
There are people online.
Okay, I'm going to read the statement then. We're glad you're here and welcome you to address the board with your ideas, concerns, or complaints. Please keep the following in mind. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand to be recognized by the board chair. If attending remotely, please use the raise hand feature within Zoom. For the record, please provide your name and relationship to the district. Please keep individual remarks to 3 minutes. If speaking as a representative on behalf of a group of 3 or more, comment time will be extended to 5 minutes. A second public comment period will occur later in the meeting that is specific to discussion and action items only. The board will not hear complaints against individual district staff or board members during public comment. Please understand that the board's primary role is to listen, and you likely will not receive an immediate response. Finally, remember, we all model the way for our students and ask that you share your thoughts respectfully and in accordance with the Silver Falls School District Board Decorum Agreement. Is there anybody here who would like to approach? Anybody online?
No hands raised
Ah.
online.
Okay, well, I gave them time.
You did.
All right, so now we have administrator and staff reports. Superintendent report is first on the list.
Thank you, board members. I wanted to make sure I point out that our new board member, Derek Foxworth, is back here. Derek, we'll see if you make it all the way to the end. We have 3 board members online. Also, I know Owen is in Idaho, I think, at a football camp with his son, and Aaron is at his daughter's graduation in Scotland. And Lori, I'm not sure where you are, but it's nice to see all 3 of your faces, even though you're virtual tonight. I want to start out just by talking about the resolution for the bond recommendation. That's Resolution 620, 2023B. And if you want to talk about the bond recommendation, I'm at your service. If not, I can move into my second topic, but I'm here to talk or answer any questions you may have about the bond recommendation. If not, that's perfectly fine.
No questions from me. Any questions online? I think we've done our due diligence on this.
That's what last week was about.
That's right. Thank you, Jonathan.
We're good.
All right, I think we're good.
The last meeting and the last BAC meeting that you spent with
Yes.
us as well. So, and remember, the goal all along this year, at least for me, was so that we have a board that can confidently take action on the bond recommendation. So I hope that you feel you have all the information and questions answered, that you can confidently take action on that bond. The second topic is kind of a fun topic, and I just want to make sure that I set the rest of my time tonight to talk about our board members rotating off the board. And Tom, you're staying with us. I'll get to you, Tom, at the end. And we have Jonathan rotating off Janet and Lori online. And you 4 were part of the original board that hired me. And I remembered as clear as day. I was in my office when I was a principal. I went to my office late that evening to prepare. And that's where I first saw all of you online. I was muted, and Tom was the first person that said, "You're muted, Scott." And so I remembered as clear as day. And so that's special to me. You took a chance on an unproven principal, K-8 principal from Beaverton. And I hope that you feel that after you've left the board that every single day I gave you my best. It's certainly been an honor to work with you, and I feel that I have good friends leaving the board that will stay in touch forever. I feel that we've been through things that I don't think we'll ever experience again in our lifetime. And so I have some plaques made up for each one of you, and I wanted to say a few words if I could, and I want to start with Lori McLaughlin. And this plaque says, Silver Falls School District recognizes Lori McLaughlin for service above self, in appreciation for your service to the students, staff, and citizens of the Silver Falls School District. board member July 2019 to June 2023. And Lori, I know that how important music was to you. I remember your questions of me during the interview process before I came to Silver Falls. I know that we only had at that time 1.5 music teachers for our K-8 and in-town elementary schools. You know that I had you on the music work group where we came up with a sort of a first tier, a minimum standard for music in Silver Falls School District. And as far as I know, we're almost all hired on our music teachers. We have 8 total in the district. So 5 of those teachers, 5 full-time music teachers, serving both of our K-5 in-town schools and all of our K-8s. And to go from 1.5 teachers to 5 through some pretty difficult economic times, I think is really saying something about what we've prioritized as a district and the opportunities that we're giving for our students. And Lori, you were at the tip of the spear on that, and I just want you to know that I hope you feel that there was time well spent on the board and rotating off, that you had maybe not all of your goals fulfilled, but at least one of the most important ones to you. So this plaque is for you, and we'll make sure you get that. Jonathan. Now, Jonathan, you were the board chair for 3 years. Is that correct? 3 years. So the year before I got here, and then, was it 3? We were talking about today.
Bless you.
Yeah, bless your heart. And I remember when I first got here during COVID, we decided, you and our vice chair at the time, Jennifer, decided to meet twice a week. But I think, Jonathan, you and I must have spoke every single day, multiple times a day, for over a year. And we turned into each other's confidants and at least each other's complaint departments. And we saw each other at our best. We certainly saw each other on a few occasions at our worst. And we both went through our 7-part apologies with each other as we worked through really difficult, historic, unprecedented issues that I was never trained for. I know that you never thought you'd be serving in that role during such a tumultuous time. But I think we came through it stronger, Jonathan. You'll always be a very close friend to me. You've taken a very keen interest, and you've always been there for me as far as my children are concerned, my twin sons. You've been so good to me, and being a listening ear and giving me your advice at times really means a lot to me. I won't soon forget that. I want to mention also that in addition to serving 3 years as our board chair, Jonathan was on the K-8 work group, the one that we initially started to design the listening sessions for our K-8 communities, the music work group, the finance work group, and I hope I'm not forgetting anything else, Jonathan. You've also been the board rep for our classified communications meetings, so you've made it to those. And by the way, for those of you listening, Jonathan is also a hazelnut farmer. He does that pretty much full-time. How many hazelnut trees do you have, Jonathan, again? How many is that? It's mind-blowing.
It's like 57 acres, about 11,000.
11,000 filbert trees. He's a project manager for Xerox, and he serves on the board of his church. So all of that, in addition to being a Silver Falls School District board member. So Jonathan, you're a model for community service, and you're definitely leaving our district in a better place. And we will stay in touch for a long time, my friend. I think I told you early on, Jonathan, one day we'll look back on all that stuff that happened during COVID and laugh. I don't know if that day's come yet, but it will.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I want to echo, I won't forget the time we've spent together, and I certainly will look to you for advice in the future.
Thank you, Jonathan. The feeling is mutual. Janet. Janet, you are one of the smartest people I've ever been around. In fact, you make me self-conscious every time I try to talk with you about a difficult topic, because it's no mystery to me that you went to Yale. Somebody told me that like 6 months after we had met. I said, well, that figures. You have really been there for me personally, Janet. You've been a dear friend to me. You've taught me a lot about what professional friendship is all about. And I will stay in touch with you for as long as I live. And I hope that you will with me. There are a couple of things that we've been through in the past 3 years, at least since I've been here. Two major issues that will go down, at least for me at this point in my career, 26 years, as the most intense issues I have ever experienced. I won't go into the details here, but you know darn well what those two issues are. And those two issues, at the center of that, you are the deciding factor. You were the difference maker that either broke the logjam or moved the issue forward, or because of your voice, enabled us to make the right decision for the Silver Falls community. And I just want to make sure that I thank you for that. I owe you a debt of gratitude I'll never be able to fully repay. You've served as a wonderful role model for all of us, Janet. Janet has served on the bargaining team, the classified bargaining team. She's been an SFEA communications meeting board rep. She's been on the finance work group, the policy work group, the behavior framework work group, and was a bond advisory committee board observer, made it to all the meetings, all while serving as the executive director of a large nonprofit called Community Action. If you don't know Community Action, it serves a lot of different areas of our public. And hearing Janet's stories of the types of things that she inherited when she took on that job and what she goes through on a daily basis, I think we have a lot in common. Janet, you're like the superintendent of your nonprofit. Janet works for a board as well, except you have 18 board members. My goodness, I couldn't imagine. But Janet, this is for you, and I hope that I hope you take this as a token of our esteem, and it's certainly been a pleasure serving you. And Tom, I wanted to save you for last, Tom, because Tom, I don't know when it was, Tom, that I started working on you about running again. I think it started 3 years ago. Probably, talking about your fourth term, your interest in that. And you took a lot of time to think about it, Tom. You don't make decisions lightly, especially with the time commitments. And I've been to Tom's operation before, his farm and his business, which makes Christmas tree stands. He ships all over the world.
Balers, harvesting equipment.
Balers, they're balers, yes. It was a really monumental decision, Tom. So 4 years from now will be your 16th year serving the district, and we'll probably start talking next month about your 4-year term after that. But Tom, on behalf of OSBA and those of us here at Silver Falls, we wanted to make sure you got this praiseworthy recognition honoring 10 or more years as a board member, and I couldn't imagine serving with somebody so positive as you are. You usually call me early in the morning, Tom. We've had so many great discussions. I now live here in Silverton, but there were so many points on my drive to work that we spent the entire time talking about not only issues involving Silver Falls, but really global issues as well. And so I've learned so much from you. I hope you've learned a little bit from me, and I really look forward to working the next 4 years with you as well. And so
Thank you.
thank you all for indulging me in that, and it's really been a pleasure, and I'm so happy to continue on in Silver Falls as your superintendent.
Thank you, Scott.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Two pies. Thank you so much.
Debbie will set
And Scott, does that conclude your remarks for tonight?
Yes.
All right, so Steve, you're up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting a little teary over here. No, I don't think anybody wants to hear from me after Sequoia Falls and Scott's remarks and a wonderful high school report. But I just want to say thank you to everyone as well. It's been a pleasure working with you. Feels like we're losing family members here, but I know that relationships will continue even though you're not on the board. Just really appreciate all your support. The June meeting is always it's exciting. I always look forward to the June board meeting because we're going to adopt a budget. We've been through a whole budget process, but also to have a bond recommendation to vote on tonight, it's really, really, really exciting. So as far as the budget that we have in front of you, up in the item number 7 there, we attached the approved budget as approved by the budget committee at the towards the end of May in the second budget committee meeting. We had, I think, 4 hours of good discussion and analysis of the issues at hand, and including developments in Salem between our two meetings. So I think they were strategically placed. So the document hasn't changed from what you approved that night. The back of the document, starting on page 139, includes the start of the 2 PowerPoint presentations I did, the one at the first and the second meetings. And those will be part of the budget document after it's adopted as well. What's happened in the last couple weeks, I know everyone's been following pretty closely, but late last week, came out in the press, and we received some emails from COSA as well that looked like a deal had been reached so that they could start doing business again after about a month and a half standstill in the Senate. And so I was trying to keep track of some updates today, and it looks like they're trying to get through the triple-digit number of bills that they have stacked up in a kind of like a speed round, I guess, if I don't know a better word to say, but the session must be completed by Sunday, the 25th. That's the constitutional sin die. So, and I know that there's legislators that want to get out by Friday. So we could be looking at 3. Just keep watching the news, because I'm sure there'll be stuff coming out every hour. But obviously, there's a lot of bills to be considered. But obviously, the state budget is a big one, and we know what happens if they don't pass a budget by the 25th. There is a policy that allows the Department of Administrative Services to continue to pay based on this last biennium's appropriation. I feel some hope that they'll actually get the budget passed by the 25th, but if they don't, we'll still get a state school fund payment in July. But this budget document does reflect a $10.2 billion state school fund, and that was one of the adjustments the budget committee made, and that's what the Democratic leadership in both chambers had promised during the standstill, and there's no reason to believe that won't occur at this point. So we do have a resolution. Resolution with the B at the end is to adopt the budget, appropriate the funds, and to levy the taxes. And then we do have a resolution that we typically do at the end of the year regarding the current fiscal year, 22-23, to recategorize some appropriations within the general fund between the instructional services and support services, and in this particular year, due to some of the issues we talked about at the budget committee meeting, have to pull from what we had appropriated in contingency to both the instructional services and support services due to the contract settlement with licensed, and then some of the issues like Robert Frost boilers and some things that we didn't have budgeted. So We did also get more revenue to support these dollars, but again, as we talked about in the budget committee meeting, we do see the ending fund balance being below where we started this year, and as we go into 23, 24, we got to reverse that trend, as we've talked about at length. So yeah, so those are the two resolutions we have there, in addition to resolution C, which is the bond resolution.
So this question came up before the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
When we work on 13B, we have to read that whole thing?
No, it's important to just the statements. There's three specific actions in this resolution. The one is the first two line items, or the first complete sentence at the top, to adopt the entire budget. The second statement is to make the appropriations, but you don't need to read all of those amounts.
Okay.
And then the third action is to impose the tax, both for the permanent tax rate, which funds a part of our operations, number one there, and then the number two, which is the levy to pay our general obligation bond debt
Okay.
service for the high school, the $4,493,000. So if you read the top portion that says resolution imposing the tax, be it resolved, and then numbers 1 and 2, and then you would not need to read the section below, because it's essentially the same thing at the
Okay.
end. Yeah.
So we don't need to read the 1 and 2?
Read 1 and 2, but not below 1 and 2.
Oh, I'm looking at this page.
Oh, yes, we did put Debbie did, thank you, Debbie. She put a sheet to try to, I'm sorry, I was looking straight at the resolution. The way that it's laid out on the sheet for reading the motion is under 13B is just fine. You can choose to read those three amounts, or you don't have
Okay.
to in the middle, but everything else would need to be read.
Including 1 and 2 at the end?
Yes.
Okay, I think I got it. Any questions for Steve about the financials?
Not here.
Okay, I don't see anybody's hand raised on the screen. All right, thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move to discussion items. We have the superintendent contract of employment. I didn't prepare anything to mention about the contract. This was negotiated between the district and Scott. And I don't have much to say. I'm sorry, I didn't prepare for this. Aaron and Owen, they helped a bit too. And if you have anything to say, make sure that you take the time to do that.
Yeah, the only question I had was just to clarify, because I couldn't remember from past practice what the procedure was, and whether, I think it all sounds like it went according to plan, but I just wanted to make sure that there was some transparency around what that process was, and to make sure that we're doing it appropriately. And you explained to me a little bit before that you had the attorney present, and
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a.
And Steve helped us with this as well, because he's got to give input on the financial piece, right?
Right.
And so Steve arranged for us to be represented by Rebecca Jacobson from Garrett, Heeman, Robertson, and she does this kind of contract negotiation. And so Owen and Aaron and I and Steve and Rebecca met a couple of times in order to, talk about positions and whatnot. And then Rebecca and Scott's representation did the negotiating bit. So that's what the process was. I think that's more extensive than we've done in the past.
Yes.
You two have dealt with superintendent contracts before. But this was my first time, so I'm pretty sure it was a little more extensive than.
It was this is much more extensive process.
Yeah.
Jennifer, if I could add in, just part of the process that we did look at some economic comparatives that were provided to us, and I know Steve also did some independent looking at other districts, so we had some comparisons to look at. And then Rebecca also, with her wealth of experience, was able to provide us a lot of direction on what she's seeing and in other places too. So I think that was all very helpful.
Agree. I think that was helpful to have her perspective because she knows the trends that are happening around the state. So that was really helpful.
Yeah, I think, I looked at the contract. The only thing that I'll just mention, just because I think it's important for transparency's sake, is we did make some adjustments, salary-wise, to bring Scott into a more reflective place, given his now experience and also the general landscape that he's operating in. And so I just think it's important to mention that did take place with this contract, and just full disclosure for anybody that's listening.
Yeah, and the contract is on board book as well.
Right.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate the process overview. I think that's just really important for transparency, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anything else? Anybody online? Okay, we will move on then to the next discussion item, which is the Bond Advisory Committee recommendation. We have seen it, we have talked about it. I just want to say that I'm really glad that while this group of 7 people is still here, that we are putting this to the question tonight, because we've all been really supportive of a bond effort for the last 2 years, and it just feels right that it's our job to do. So I'm really glad to be able to move forward with this. Anybody else have anything else they want to say?
I'm happy we're doing it tonight too, and I'm happy to support it.
I just wanted to comment, excuse me, I'm sorry, I will be, assuming this is voted in favor this evening, be putting our name in for the Awesome Grant tomorrow morning.
Okay, that's exciting.
The due date's the 30th, so got to get our name in the hat and got to get it in and then fill out the application, so we'll be doing that.
Okay, and that is 4 million? Is that right?
Well, that's what they think we would qualify for, yeah.
Okay. So just if people are watching and they want to know, the Awesome Grant is an additional amount that complements the bond that is given by the state of Oregon as a grant. So
Stands for Oregon School Capital Improvement Match.
All right. So let's move on then to the policy second reads. I'm not going to go through those one by one because we did do that last time. Anybody have any new ideas since that first read?
Nope.
All right, we'll process for the next read. Basically on the third read is when we will adopt. So if anybody out there in the public has any comments, now's the time to make sure that we see those. That could be in an email. All right, public comment is next. Is there anybody in the audience? No, there's nobody in. Oh, Mr. Ort is gonna speak. If you're online and you would like to speak, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom. Come on up. And I'm going to ask you some questions. Can you state your name and relationship to the district?
Josh Ort, and I'm a parent of 3, soon to be 4 in the district.
And what topic would you like to speak on?
Thanking you guys. It's been on my heart for a while. When I was in public. I got asked to come speak to you guys during the whole COVID thing, and could not imagine how hard that was for all of you. Thank you so much for you guys' leadership. All of you, Janet, John, Lori especially, for going through that very difficult time. Hopefully that didn't play into part of you guys not wanting to come back, but you guys really showed leadership to the community. And as a citizen of the community, I thank you for not becoming YouTube famous and handling it with grace. And it really meant a lot to me, to all of you. So I just wanted to say thank you. I thought about putting something in our town, but I wanted to say thank you to your face and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Josh.
That was
Josh.
wonderful,
Thank
Josh.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and demonstrations.
I want to publicly say that too, and that's not my role during this time, but I'm just going to do it because I'm the chair and I can. We did an amazing job, I would say, and people don't like it when we congratulate ourselves, but I'm kind of like the coach right here saying, good job, team, because we did an amazing job during that really, 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 really hard time.
Oh, yeah.
And I wrote this in my email to you, we kept the political extremism out and focused on what we could focus on, and that was really, every time somebody asks, how's the board going to me, I always go back to this fact that we really have not been YouTube famous. And that was like a huge deal for me, that we were not that group, and we didn't have big drama. So I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate all of you so much. And I am kind of sad this is our last time together, because I think we've worked really, really well together. So thank you, Mr. Ort, for
Very nice.
introing that. Anybody online? Okay.
Yeah, congratulations, Josh. You're going to be sitting up there really soon, and I just wish the new elected board members all the best. So thank you for your comment. Best to you.
Okay, next on the list is to close the budget hearing, because we don't have anybody else who's going to who seems to want to speak about the budget, and we'll move into action items. So action item 13A is to approve resolution 620-2023A. The transfer of appropriations in the general fund for fiscal year 2022 to 2023. We have our motion sheet ahead of us, or in front of us, so if somebody would like to proceed.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to move that resolution 6-20-2023-A be adopted to transfer budget appropriations in the general fund.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that resolution 6-2023A be adopted to transfer budget appropriations in the general fund. Any discussion? I think we
No.
can go ahead and vote.
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Owen?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
All in favor?
All right, let's go to 13B. This is to adopt the budget levying taxes and making appropriations for fiscal year 2023, 2024.
I'll hit the high points here. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Silver Falls School District 4J, I move that we,
No, you can say be it resolved.
okay, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Silver Falls School District 4J hereby adopts the budget for the 23-24 school year in the amount of $76,982,032. This budget is on file in the school district office at 612 Schlater Street, Silverton, Oregon, 97381. Be it resolved that the amounts for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023, and for the purposes shown below are hereby appropriated. And the details they add up to that $76 million. Be it resolved that the following ad valorem property taxes are hereby imposed for the tax year 23-24 upon the assessed value of all taxable property within the district at the rate of $1,000 of assessed value of $4.5458 per thousand for the permanent rate tax, and in the amounts of $4,493,514 for debt service for the general obligation bonds.
Second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 6/2023B, adopting the budget, levying taxes, and making appropriations for the fiscal year 2023-2024. Any discussion? I'm assuming no. So let's vote.
Tom?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Owen?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
All in favor?
All right. Okay, now for the big one. Resolution 6/2023C to approve Bond Advisory Committee General Obligation Bond Recommendation for the November 2023 ballot.
Can I do this one? I move to approve the Bond Advisory Committee's bond recommendation and approves the district to proceed with the bond program for the November 7th, 2023 election.
Second?
It's been
Yay.
moved and seconded to approve the Bond Advisory Committee's bond recommendation and approves the district to proceed with a bond program for the November 7, 2023 election. Any discussion? Let's vote.
Tom?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Owen?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Very good.
And next on the agenda is to approve the superintendent contract of employment.
I move to approve the superintendent contract of employment for the 2023 through 26 school years.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the superintendent contract of employment for the 2023 through 2026 school years. Any discussion?
Tom?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Owen?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
All in favor?
All right, so next on the agenda is future agenda item request. One thing that I know that we're going to have in the future is a discussion around the complaint process and our policy, because it's our Jolly Patterson who advised us during that last complaint. She mentioned that we should really get clearer about complaints against employees, because we don't, I don't know, adjudicate on employment issues. That's not our role, unless it's the superintendent's recommendation and they're giving it to us. So that is something that will be coming up in future.
I'd like to have that at the next work session that we have in July. We've got a couple to look at, so I'd like to have an updated complaint policy for your review and to adopt.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Any other future agenda item requests from the three continuing board members?
I'm wondering if I might just have a minute just for some parting words.
Yes, of
after
course.
this.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, are we done with future agenda?
I don't think anybody has anything.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna remove my mask. Yeah, I just wanted to be able to thank all of you for being such amazing colleagues. You know, we all have very, in some cases, very different feelings and opinions about a wealth of issues. And one of the things, to your point you made earlier, Jennifer, that I'm most proud of is our collaborative and very productive conversations and the way we've just centered our students above our own politics. And I would exhort the new board, and I think I'm very confident that they will embrace that philosophy too and move forward in that same way. I just want to thank all of you. Dan, I had such a pleasure to work with you on policies. It's a real highlight of our time, even though it was sort of, hair pulling and
Well, for you, not for me.
Yeah, that's right. When we started, and it's been a road, right? When we started, the first thing we did was, for the most part, after a little bit of a bumpy takeoff, is we hired Scott, and that has been the cornerstone, I think, of all of our successes that have followed. So thank you, Scott. It has been an absolute privilege to work alongside you, and I'm so excited to see where you're taking the district. We now have guaranteed and viable curriculum in the works. We navigated COVID, and we just passed a bond. So I couldn't have wished for a better 4 years of being able to feel that we really accomplished a lot. And so I just wanted to extend my thanks to all of you, and I will miss these opportunities. It's been really an amazing experience. So best of luck to all of you who are continuing, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Jen.
Yes. And for your excellent leadership, Jennifer.
Oh, gosh.
Really appreciate you.
Well, I just want to say at them, thank you, Scott, for extending the appreciation to the board members, because I've been thinking about what to say, but nobody could top what you did. I mean, my admiration for folks is huge, but what you said was perfect. So pretend that we all chipped in on that. Anybody else?
Yeah, well, I'll just say something, and I'll echo a lot of what Janet said. This has been an amazing ride.
Yeah.
I can't imagine when I joined, in such a short amount of time, entering into so many turbulent waters, right? We were going through this giant complaint against the board, and then right following that into COVID and fires and ice, and I mean, it was seemingly one non-trivial problem after another. We ended up hiring an interim superintendent, and then Scott, our permanent superintendent. And, we were working with OSBA legal teams. I was on the phone with lawyers. I can't even tell you how many hours with lawyers. It was nothing like I thought it was going to be, but you guys collectively, the admin folks and this board, have made this tolerable, and I really appreciate it. Because it was tough. There were days, let me tell you. And so this is just, I guess, my way of saying thank you to everybody else and those online. I'm looking over at you guys now on the screen. It's been good, and I will miss a lot of this, I will say, similar to Jen. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for taking on that role during that really, really hard time. I know it wasn't ideal, but you did it, and that's what leaders do, so thank you. Lori, since the other two had a chance, do you want a chance to say anything?
Yeah, it's funny. I was waiting for Tom to say something, but I realized Tom's making a return, so congratulations, Tom. So I guess I've been your, sidekick for a while there. You won't have to count how many Diet Colas I drank during the meeting. It was always nice, even though we certainly looked at things differently, it was always nice to have conversations with you, and I deeply appreciated that. It's been a wild ride for 4 years. All the different things that we experienced and navigated through. It's amazing what 4 years can pack in that time frame. So, yeah, it's been a great ride. And so with that said, I wish all the board members well, and, enjoy life, be productive, and be kind to your neighbors, all those good things, the golden rule. So do take care, and thank you very much for the 4 years.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
All right, well, without objection, meeting adjourned.